Approval by Joji Ito. It starts with this couple. The boyfriend is at the girlfriend's house asking the father for permission to marry his daughter, but no matter how many times he asks, won't let him marry her because she already has an offer of marriage. The dad calls for his son, Setsuo, to tell Kyosuke, that's the boyfriend's name. Setsuo tells him he shouldn't marry his sister, Misuzu, that's the girlfriend's name, because he belongs of a lower class and he's not going to be able to make her happy, so leave. The dad also tells him to leave. He doesn't want to see his face. Misuzu tries to talk to him, but the dad yells for him to get lost. Out of the house, Kyosuke says that he can't take it anymore. He did what he could. Eloping is the only way out and says he knows she doesn't have the courage for that, so if she still wants her father's consent, it's over. He says goodbye and walks off. Later on, he's thinking to himself, how many times has he visited Misuzu's house? He can't believe he was that patient, but that's over. He won't see Misuzu. While in this thought, a woman walks up behind him and asks him to take the teeth mode, but he was completely zoned out. The coworker says he looks depressed. Kyosuke says nothing and gets back to work. After work, Kyosuke is walking with that girl, Yuko, from earlier. She's asking what's wrong. Everybody is worried about him. Then says maybe he's having problems with his girlfriend. Kyosuke responds, yes, he broke up with her. Yuko backtracks after coming off nosy. Kyosuke says not to worry because it happened 3 weeks ago, then offers her a ride. After some hesitation, she agrees. The next panel shows that they're on some date, talking about each other's future. Kyosuke asks if she's going to be at Okazaki's dentist for a long time, but she responds she'll quit after she gets married. Kyosuke said he'll be on his own one day and be so successful that it will make his old man sorry. Old man referring to his dad. Yuko then gasses him up, saying he'll be a successful orthodontist. Everyone at work sees how good he is. The date is over. Kyosuke is driving her home. Yuko says that she had a great time and asks if they can do this again. In narration, Kyosuke says that this is when he started to like Yuko. Kyosuke gets home and Setsuo is there waiting for him. Now they're in Kyosuke's apartment. He asks Setsuo what brings him here. He responds that he has a favor to ask, but before that, he asks Kyosuke if he still loves his sister, because if so, he wants him to come to the house and talk with his father to marry his sister. Kyosuke gets mad and says, did you forget what you told me? Setsuo apologizes for what he says and gives him a box that has his father's favorite drink in it and says to bring this when he comes over. Misuzu will call a cab to pick him up tonight. Just get in and it'll take him to their house. Kyosuke's like, hey, I didn't say I'll go. Setsuo says he knows he'll go because he still loves her. Also, Misuzu loves him too. She realized that after he left. So as her brother, he had to do something about it. He'll see him tonight and walks off. Time passes. Suddenly, Kyosuke hears a ring at the door. He opens the door. It's Misuzu. She's there to pick him up. After they arrive at their house, they're staying together. The brother is vouching for Kyosuke, saying, Father, why don't you let them get married? And Kyosuke's a nice guy, but the dad still refuses. He won't let him marry Misuzu. Misuzu tells her dad that they won't give up until he says yes. The three of them are outside. The brother talks about how that didn't go well, and that the cab is coming soon. He leaves them alone. Misuzu tells Kyosuke that he was quiet tonight. Is something on his mind? He says not really. She was worried that might have found someone else, since they didn't see each other for a whole month. She asks if he is seeing anyone. He responds no, while Setsuo watches from the door. The next day, Yuko gives Kyosuke a late Valentine's Day gift and says that since he broke up with his girlfriend, she assumed that he didn't get anything this year. Then Yuko wants to come over to his place to fix up some dinner. Later that night, they're enjoying their meal. Kyosuke goes in for a kiss but gets interrupted by a ring at the front door. Yuko goes and answers the door. She comes back saying it's a girl named Fukatsu or Misuzu, same person. He comes to the door. Misuzu says that she's here to pick him up. Suddenly they're both in the car. Misuzu is asking, who's that girl? Is that your new girlfriend? Kyosuke then tells the driver to stop, that he's getting out, but before leaving he tells her he realized that he's in love with Yuko and that he's going back and says his goodbye. The car drives away while Misuzu looks back crying. Narration says Yuko didn't come to work the next day and that she had a fever. He starts to think, did he hurt her feelings last night? And that after work he'll go see her. He goes by her place and gets the news that she's at the hospital, that she got really sick that afternoon. While driving, he thinks hospitalized? This must be serious. He's at the hospital. He reaches her room holding flowers, but once he opens the door, he drops them and sees people crying over Yuko's body. At his apartment, he's thinking, why does she have to go so soon? And starts to blame himself. It's his fault she died, and continues to beg for forgiveness from Yuko. Someone's ringing the doorbell while he's having this moment. He ignores it until he hears the door open. It's Misuzu. She tells him that she couldn't forget about him, so she decided to come over and ask why he's crying. He responds, she died. Misuzu and him cried all night. He cried for Yuko, while Misuzu cried for him. Time passes. Kyosuke is in his 30s, and he keeps visiting Misuzu's house regularly. Since that night, Misuzu and him became a couple again. His father keeps saying no. Misuzu looks so sad, but she always looks so lovely. Next, they're outside. Setsuo tells Kyosuke it's not hopeless. You're not giving up, are you? Kyosuke says that he'll never give up, no matter how old he gets, but his only concern is Misuzu will get old too as this goes on. Kyosuke and Misuzu are walking to the car. Kyosuke realizes that he forgot his bag, and he goes back and gets it. While he walks back, he overhears the dad talking to Setsuo, asking, he's not giving up, is he? Setsuo says no. He'll never change his mind. The dad says good. You know it's a lot of work, but it makes his life worth living. Then says, Setsuo, do you understand how I feel? My dearest daughter taken away by that man? What a shame. Kyosuke will never stop asking for my approval, but he'll never get what he wants. Then they both start laughing. Kyosuke thinks that they've been playing with his emotions all this time. And also, does Misuzu know about this? Kyosuke runs back to the car for Misuzu. She's nowhere to be found. The next panel shows that they're back at their house. The dad refuses Kyosuke to marry his daughter. You know, the same thing again. But Kyosuke brought him his favorite drink that day and says, hope he likes it. The dad says gifts won't change his mind. Little by little, the poison and the drinks will take effect. He doesn't care if they find out. He'll just deal with it. He just doesn't want this plan to fail. His death will be all the approval he needs. As soon as he dies, he'll marry Misuzu. Luckily, the dad likes to drink. One interaction, the dad is telling Kyosuke that he lost some weight and he needs to start eating better. Kyosuke, thinking in his head that he'll have no time to worry about others, and keeps giving them poison drinks, gradually spiking him with larger doses of poison. As time went on, he began to soften. He was clearly getting weaker. Kyosuke says good. He's almost there. Soon, he'll get the approval. Next scene, they're at the hospital. The dad is on the bed. Setsuo is next to him, asking if he can hear him, and says, Misuzu and Kyosuke are here. Kyosuke asks the dad how he feels. He responds that he's not gonna make it. Kyosuke says, don't say that. The dad asks how long he's known him. Kyosuke responds 13 years. The dad says, wow, it's really been that long? Then says Kyosuke, you should know that Misuzu was really in love with you. When she broke up with you that one time, she told me that her love was real, but I couldn't let myself admit it. She offed herself a few days later. After that, Setsuo saw her spirit. Her spirit asked him for help to convince me. Then her spirit began to appear with you, but I still don't approve the marriage. It was too late after all. How could I let you marry my dead daughter? But that was just an excuse. I just wanted to see my daughter. The spirit shows up with you. I used you so I could see Misuzu. I miss my daughter. I used you all these years just to keep seeing her. The dad has been fooling Kyosuke. Misuzu's already dead. Then asks for forgiveness. Then he passes away. Kyosuke's thinking it's a lie. Misuzu's right here, but turns around, she's gone. Kyosuke is at his apartment thinking maybe Yuko died because she was cursed by Misuzu, and says that he looked like a ghost now. Could this be her curse too? Kyosuke narrates saying, Misuzu comes to me every night with a cheerful look. She beckons me from far away from my apartment door. I could hear her say, Kyosuke, our marriage is finally approved.